Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all having a great day. Hope you're all doing well during this lockout. We're not even going to get into any of that today. We're just talking Yankees. We're doing a Q&A, and I'm pretty sure this is like the first one I've done since like the 2019 ALCS. So it's been a good while. I'm excited. I took all your guys' questions from my community tab, which if we do this again, which I'm sure we will, that's what you should keep your eyes peeled to. The community tab, that's where I will post the announcements that we're doing a Q&A. That's where you can submit your questions. But yeah, let's just get right into it. And we're going to start out with Sal, who he asked a good question. Would you be okay with Anderson Simmons if we got Olsen at first base and Ketel Marte in center field? Oh, interesting. A year or two of Simmons to wait for Volpe while having two controllable all-stars at famous Yankee positions. I would sign up for that personally. Now, if you guys have watched me at all this offseason, you know I am totally adamantly against signing Anderson Simmons. Yes, I know his defense is really good, and it for sure is really good, but his offense is brutal. He's like well below league average. He had like a 70 WRC plus last year, which means he was 30% worse than a league average offensive player. As for Olsen at first base, Ketel Marte in center field, that sounds awesome. I definitely want Olsen, and I would love Marte as well. Two problems with that though. One, Marte, while yes, he is good on offense, the Yankees, you don't want to get worse defensively. And while Marte, yes, he can play center, he's by no means a good center fielder. He's actually really, really bad. So much so where it's hard to even consider him actually, a player at that position. He's more so, corner outfield, can play left. He can also play a little bit of infield. The second issue with that is, if you're getting Olsen and you're getting Marte, that means you're trading for them both, and that's going to cost a lot of prospect capital. Talking about Olsen, if we were to get him, that means we definitely gave up one of the top shortstop prospects, probably Oswald Peraza, because they want to hold on to Volpe, and then some more top 10 guys on top of that. So that's a lot of prospect capital right there, so much that, you're probably not going to want to make two major trades. That's why, talk about center field, I want Brian Reynolds badly, right? But it's just not realistic to, plan on trading for Olsen, who's going to cost a lot of prospects, and then plan on trading for Marte or Reynolds, also, who is going to cost a lot of prospects. So, my thing this whole entire time has been the Yankees need two impact bats, right? So go out and get Olsen, that's your trade, and then go out and sign one of the shortstops. Thanks for the question, Sal. Moving on. Yellow asks, which Yankee do you expect to have the biggest bounce back season in 2022? Personally, I see Gleyber now that he's back at second. I might be a little too optimistic. No, man. Honestly, that would be my pick. And even if you didn't say that, Gleyber is... I'm banking on him to be the player. Not be 2019 Gleyber necessarily, but it's no secret that once Gleyber moved back to second base, he was a different player. He hit, I'm pretty sure... It was only, 18 or 19 games because he moved back, second week of September. But he hit, I think, 330 and, had an OPS plus of 128, which, if you remember from my prior video that I did last week, his OPS plus in 2019 was 128. So Gleyber Torres at second base in 2021 was a 128 OPS plus guy. So, from a comfort standpoint, it is pretty easy to believe that Gleyber is at least going to be closer to the player that, we know he used to be. But besides him, I mean, Joey Gallo, I feel like is a pretty easy pick. And, he could go out and hit 40 homers, have a 130 OPS plus, driving 100 runs. A lot of people will say he's still in a bad year because he's probably going to hit 220, 230. But thing is, if he's getting on base at a clip of 360, 370, that's valuable, guys. It really is. And Joey Gallo is, I don't want to say he's a proven star, but he has proven that he's capable of being a star. And before we traded for him last year, that's what he was. He was on pace to be a 6-WAR player, guys. And while I'm not going to predict that, I would be pretty shocked if he's not at least a 4-WAR player, which is all-star level for those who aren't familiar. Above all-star level, really. Moving on. Caden LeDuc asks, favorite bad Yankee of all time? That's a good question. I got two, and they're from recent years, obviously. Sonny Gray. I love Sonny Gray. I root for him currently. I root for him, right after he got traded. I root for him, I still liked Sonny Gray when he was with the Yankees, even when he was moved to the bullpen because he was so bad. And also, too, I used to put a lot more stock into the notion that Gray couldn't handle New York. And while that still might somewhat be true, a lot of it had to do with Larry Rothschild and the fact that, Sonny Gray really needs, he fits very well in, the modern, current analytics style of pitching. He needs, the drive line tools. He needs all, the numbers and just, the video tools. And the Yankees, at the time he was here, they didn't really have that to provide for him. So I think he would have been much better suited on today's Yankees, given the technology that they have compared to only a couple years ago. And also, too, Greg Bird. I love Greg Bird. And, hey, he had a great year in the minor leagues last year. I think he had an OPS, around, 900 or something like that. So maybe his career isn't over yet. Moving on, Phantom51 asks, who do you think will be a better reliever next year, Clay or Johnny? Obviously talking Clay Holmes and Jonathan Loaisiga. I think both are going to be really good. I've been on the record saying I think Clay Holmes is going to be a top 3, top 5 reliever in the American League next year. Thing is, Loaisiga is, probably in that same boat, and he also is better against left-handers, at least as of right now. Clay Holmes he's unhittable against right-handers and kind of against lefties too when he was with the Yankees. But Loaisiga, just because he's a more like sure thing against both sides of the plate, I would just have to go with him. But I'm really excited about the Yankee bullpen as a whole next year, but especially those two. Moving on, Zohab Mumtaz, bro. I hope I'm saying your name right. Apologies if I'm not. I'll say it first. Who's realistically the shortstop next year? I honestly see the Yankees not signing any shortstops and just doing Glaber at second, Gio at short, and DJ at third. Well, DJ, I think, is definitely going to be the third baseman. The Yankees have made it pretty clear they don't want to have him be like their first baseman on an everyday basis. And hey, I'll be honest, like I would absolutely take Gio Urshela as the Yankees short. If you told me it's either Anderson Simmons or Gio Urshela at short, easy. Gio any day of the week, absolutely. But you know, I really think the Yankees are going to end up with Trevor Story. Correa is definitely an option, but, you know, talking short-term, you know, stopgap type deal, my plan this whole time has been offer Trevor Story 3 years, a lot of money with an opt-out after 1. That gives him a chance to, 1, you can still get solid money. 3 years, I don't know, $35 million a year. So, you know, that's still a lot of money. You're not losing that much necessarily. And 2, if you have a good year, reboost your value, you can opt out after the first year and then go test the market again next year. Because Story was going to be probably close to a $300 million player if it weren't for his down year last year. And even his down year was like a 4+ WAR season. So if the Yankees did sign him, I would be pumped. I just wouldn't want to do it long term. If they're going to go long term on a shortstop, Correa, 100%. Moving on. Sean Doyle, do you think opening day will be before the month of May? I do. I believe, and you know, I don't have any insider information or nothing. I have a hunch that there will be a deal done before the start of April. And, you know, if I had to guess, maybe around March 20th, a deal gets done. And then from there, you got about, what, a month of spring training. I'm thinking opening day, probably like the last week of April, which it isn't that bad. You know, it's not that's upsetting me, and I feel like a lot of other fans. It's just like I miss the normalcy of spring. Like, this is my time and your guys' time. Like, I live for this shit, bro. Like, daylight savings time. Just this, like, people are just in a better mood around spring. I'm the biggest sucker for spring fever, by the way, and baseball is just a big part of it. Like, I should be watching a 1 o'clock, you know, Grapefruit League game right now, and it just sucks that I'm not. So it's like, from a lifestyle perspective, is what upsets me the most. But you know, if we end up getting baseball by the end of April, which I think we will, in the end, that'll be cool. It'll give us about like a 130 game season. I'll ultimately be okay with that. Last two. Peter C. Do you think the Yankees will make a move for a shortstop, starting pitcher, first base, or center fielder? Which one is the highest priority? Well, highest priority, it's got to be shortstop. And what was really interesting going into this offseason is that what feels like the first time in a good while, Cashman, like, he laid it all out there about what the priorities were. And it were all those things that you just listed. Besides, I don't think he mentioned anything about starting pitcher. He mentioned shortstop, first base, and center field. Now, yeah, shortstop, definitely highest top priority. I would say after that, probably first base. I think it's kind of a sure thing Luke Voit won't be the guy. And I like Luke Voit, I really do. But, you know, right-handed, power bat, not good defense. It's just time to move on. And then center field, I do got a bad feel. Not a bad feeling, but I feel like Aaron Hicks is going to be the guy come opening day. So I think we get a shortstop. I think we get a first baseman. And then a starting pitcher, I think that's definitely something we should go after, because the way it sits right now, the Yankee rotation is Cole, Sevy, Monty, Tyone, and then Nestor Cortez. A very solid rotation, and they also have a very solid bullpen as well. But the idea of getting a number 3 guy like a Carlos Rodon and pushing Monty back to being your number 4, Tyone back to being your number 5, and Nestor's your swing guy, that just, I feel like, makes the Yankees rotation so much longer, so much better. That's what I would do if I were Brian Cashman. And they have money to spend. They are not afraid of the luxury tax this year, which I don't even want to talk about the luxury tax because I don't want to get into the whole, you know, CBA things, but whatever. Moving on. Last one, Shulam Leash. I hope I'm saying your name right, bro. He writes, would you trade Anthony Volpe or Jason Dominguez for Olsen or Reynolds? Volpe, probably not. I don't like to have too many untouchable guys. I just like to have one. Volpe's my guy. He is, and not just for me, but, you know, among many all top prospect lists, really, he has skyrocketed past Dominguez. That's not to say Dominguez isn't good or doesn't have value. He absolutely does. But Volpe, for me, he's the guy. I think you can have, everybody's like, I feel like rule should be get one untouchable and then everybody else is on the table reasonably, right? And Jason Dominguez, the way I see it is Brian Reynolds, what he was in 2021, if Dominguez ever turns out to be that, that's an automatic win. You know, Reynolds, great with the bat. He's quick. He plays elite defense in center field. If, like I said, if Dominguez ever turns out to be that, to me, that's awesome. That's a win, right? So we can go out and get that right now, get what we hope he turns out to be right now. To me, that's an easy yes. As for Volpe, like I said, he's on the more untouchable side for me, so probably not. But you know, when you're in a win now mode like the Yankees are right now, prospect hugging to me just it's not the move. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know if you want me to do more of these Q&As, maybe like a once a month type deal. I mean, hell, over the next few weeks until this lockout shit gets handled, maybe we're going to do them once a week. I don't know. But yeah, drop a like on this video, subscribe if you are new. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Let's go, Yankees.